Look,
those rappers are so insignificant. Like, first of all, they came out on the last second. They have nothing to do with Donald Trump's fucking appeal in the black community. Get the fuck out of here, dude. That's some silly fuck. That is the. I have an article that shows this point about turning platforms into a shithole if you're allowed to show screenshots of the N and F words and threats of violence. Yeah, you can do that. You can show that. But, dude, like, there is. It is. I'm sorry, but it's incredibly Caucasian to assume that, like, Lil Pump and Lil Wayne, like, offering a last-second endorsement of Donald Trump was even remotely the reason why black people voted in higher numbers than they had done so before for Donald Trump. That's crazy. Also, Lil Pump isn't even fucking black. So,
look, I mean, I think men.
That's racist. I think it is racist to fucking assume that. It's so dumb. It's this notion that like black people can't control themselves and assume that black people can control themselves and assume that like, oh, well, it's a rapper. Oh, God, no, I sure do love hippity hoppity music. Gonna go vote for the guy who has hip hop celebrities on his side. Like, it doesn't fucking work that way.
Generally are more susceptible to public figures who act tough, sort of a stereotypical macho style.
I'm going to show you a thing.
This is kind of fucked up that Obama is saying this, but he isn't wrong. Like, the machismo, like, for black people, it's like fucked up. But the machismo element, the flash and the machismo, is certainly something that white people appreciate, and especially with like the Latino voters, Latino male voters, like they fucking love that shit. Like, I don't know why we're having a conversation around like the white people that does not, that like for some reason we assume that like brown people have this magical shield where they only operate as like political figures that see the world in terms of like immigration reform. Like, that's not how it works. It's just, again, it seems very fucking, it seems like a very Caucasian take to assume that like black people or Latino voters, like black voters, Latino voters are not going to be on board with like the same qualities. And by the way, one of those qualities is literally white supremacy. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. Just gonna point that out as well. Coded white supremacy. But those things are appealing to white people, and those things are appealing to brown people too. Like,
The beauty. Look at that. Are these flabby arms?
imagine saying anything's a very black take. You could hear me say that about something. Like, understandably, a person that has a better understanding of the black community, I would assume, is like a black person. I would say like, yeah, this is like authentically black take. Would you be triggered by that too? Like you are right now? No, you wouldn't, because you're a fragile little baby who literally sits in my chat all fucking day and waits for the mention of white people from a white person himself, and so that you could be triggered like a little, like a big old bitch that you are. Okay. Half the time, whenever people, I just want you to be consistent. Yeah, suck my fucking consistent cock, you little fuck. I want you to fucking be consistent. No, here's the problem. You know what you want? You don't want me to be consistent. You want me to fucking appeal to your sensibilities, because in your worldview, you're a little baby. You don't think that there are historical differences between the way that black people have been treated and white people have been treated. And that's why you refuse to acknowledge these sorts of differences in the way that we have cultural depictions or depictions of the media, and the way we reference white people versus the way we reference black people. You don't want to do that because you're a little fucking baby who thinks, understandably, that like white people are oppressed in certain situations as well. They're not oppressed under similar virtues like black people are oppressed as a consequence of their skin color, and have been historically, and still a lot of these institutions that were developed at that in those days when black people were racially oppressed have those ideas still permanently embedded in their in the way that they operate. White people don't get oppressed by virtue of the color of their skin like black people do, but you don't want to recognize that reality because you're a little fucking baby, dude. That's it. Okay. I literally type one thing in your chat and you assume my whole life story. So am I wrong with what I said then? Do you think there's a difference between the way that black people and white people have been treated historically and to this day? Do you think that white people in America have ever been victimized by the color of their skin?
Hi.
I'm waiting for your answer very quickly before I ban you. Of course there's a difference. Nope. Don't give me that pussy ass fucking wishy-washy defense there. Tell me right now, do you think that you can be racist to white people on the virtue of the color of their skin? I don't mean like discriminatory behavior against white people. Like, do you think calling someone cracker is the same as calling someone the N-word, for example? Don't say, of course there's a difference. Tell me with your entire chest. I want you to be consistent. Waiting. So racism is okay towards white people? I don't get your point. No. The difference in this circumstance, in the way that we treat certain marginalized communities by the virtue of their oppression, I don't know what else to say for you to believe that, bro. Wait, what? Wait, no, tell me that. No, I want you to tell me that, no, of course, as a consequence of historical oppression on racial boundaries, white people do not get oppressed by the virtue of the color of their skin in the same way that black people do. Otherwise, certainly white people are oppressed, but they're oppressed by capitalism. They're oppressed by their class position. They're oppressed because they're poor. They come from a poor family. They're oppressed in the similar circumstances that everyone else is oppressed on, but not because they are white. And if you recognize that that difference exists, then you wouldn't be such a fucking whiny little baby or try to fucking point out that, like, imagine saying that that's a very black take. You're a fragile little bitch. If you personally believe that there's a difference, they're oppressed in other ways. No ban, beat DS3. Like you've said before, I agree with this dude. Oh, okay. Thanks then. I'm glad that we are we're of the same mindset, brother. Thanks. No, don't try to DS3. I was just memeing your way out of this, you little shit. What is this? You know I had to do it to him. It's him. What? What is this? What? No. What the fuck? No. Okay, last question then. If you agree with me, I wasn't memeing at all, actually. I pointed out that because I was looking for consistency. They get oppressed in other ways. So if they get oppressed in other ways, and I make a take about like how I make a take signaling or singling out rather whiteness as a concept, okay, as an identity feature, and you are looking for consistency, why would you, like, imagine saying anything is a very black take? Why did you think that that was a reasonable thing to say?
My dude, hey, my dude, here's a few Bezos bucks.
Why did you decide to say this then? Like, I'm just looking for consistency is so stupid because you understand that that would be technically consistent, but technically inconsistent. You would understand that
you are my daddy and big brother.
You would understand that, like,
I guess you're
saying like, oh, this is a very black take, devoid of any sort of other context, could in a lot of situations come across as deeply racist, regardless of the fact that you can't do that for white people. So why did you bring that up? You just assume so much about me that's just false.
Arjan? Hello,
why did you bring this up then?
I love you, Arjan.
Because it seems like you don't disagree with me. Why did you bring it up? Go ahead. Tell me why you brought this up then. Then you can't say I was just looking for consistency because you yourself are inconsistent. People get caught up in PC language on the left and get triggered for ideologically false reason. You were not one of them in that case. Wait, so you made assumptions about me? Is that what you're saying? Do you think that...
2 months making Bezos even richer.
Do you think... If you understand that there is a difference in treatment of white people, just if we're looking at just the fucking skin color, that there have historically and still to this day a difference in the treatment that white people have, a privilege that white people have, just on the virtue of the color of their skin. Does not mean that like white people can't be homeless. Does not mean that a fucking homeless white person is better off than a fucking billionaire black person. None of that. Obviously, I'm not saying that. But if you personally believe that with all other factors removed, if we're just looking at white people versus black people, there's a difference in treatment in the way that we talk about it, specifically because black people are marginalized historically and still to this day by the color of their skin, whereas white people are not. If you understand that and recognize that, you would never... Can we move on, Megalol? Why? Why? I'm giving you exactly what you want. You wanted attention? You ordered it? I'm giving it to you. Why are you fucking running away from it now? Explain to me why this is an area where you're looking for consistency if you don't believe the underlying things that I just mentioned. Instead of banning you, I'm giving you. Instead of banning you, I'm giving you what you wanted. You wanted discourse, I'm giving you discourse.
I got my Trump-loving mother to vote Democrat because of you. She loves you too. Thanks for everything, man.
Again, it's enough. Stop blasting a single chatter like that. I don't think it's enough. I think it's important. This is an important lesson in what you say in the chat, because I read it. Other people read it too. If you're going to fucking say dumb doo-doo shit, I'm going to call it out. Especially if you say it in like an incredibly condescending tone too. Nah, I just want you to be consistent. Well, that's what I'm doing. I want you to be consistent. So go ahead. And I guess we're moving on. Here, just get a quick timeout there. Bullshit. Grab him. He's weaseling around the question because he's uncomfortable at being put on the spot in front of tens of thousands of people. You're not going to get anything out of him. Just remember the burning feeling of embarrassment. Your call, of course. Yeah. It's so sad when people fucking when people have these incredible takes that they are willing to put up, but as soon as it's under the fucking spotlight, like I'm under the spotlight every goddamn day. Every single thing that I do, every single thing that I fucking do is under the spotlight. Okay? You get to pick it apart all you want. Racism and hate towards white people by non-white people and other white people has been normalized so much that when someone calls out that they called crybabies and that's okay because white people have privilege and power. That's why he said, imagine if you said that that's a very black take. If you said that there would be pushback. Yes. Because the racism and hate towards white people by non-white people is like saying the fucking hatred towards heterosexuals by homosexuals and lesbians and other members of the LGBTQ community. When something is a default position and has been historically and is to this day, you cannot fucking shit on people by virtue of the default position that they belong to. Okay? You can shit on them for other shit. You can make fun of a poor white person, okay? Not on the basis of their whiteness, but on the basis of their class position, and that's kind of fucked up. We still do it regardless because most people are not aware of classism and don't really focus on that too much. But like making fun of someone as for being white or being oblivious to the struggles of the black experience or some shit like that, that's ridiculous. If you're gonna cry about that and say anti-white racism is a problem, then I'm gonna make fun of you. Because you're ridiculous. And you are fragile. You are literally fragile. It's like crying about not having heterosexual Pride Day.
Around and found out.
It's the same shit.
I don't think black men are immune to that any more than white or Hispanic men are. A lot of the values...
He's right. He is right to a certain degree.
...of popular culture are constantly extolling wealth, power, frankly, greed, not thinking about other people because you're so ruthless that you're just looking out for yourself. If there are some in the hip-hop community who constantly rapping about bling and depicting women in a certain way, and then they hear Donald Trump basically delivering the same version of it.
I'm really rich.
like, but that doesn't make up like the overwhelming reason. That's not the overarching reason as to why black people voted for fucking Donald Trump. Like that's a silly, like the hyper focus on like what are the silliest aspects of it. Like it's so small. Like just because there's a truth to it does not change the reality that it's not like there are larger systemic problems at play. You know what I mean?
Grab him by the
They might say, yeah, that guy, that's what I want. That's what I want to be.
I was in so many rap songs. I know. Like 79 or something. I was in every rap. This is before I did this, right?
All of which is to say the black community, like every community, is complicated. Those of us who are progressive, who think, for example, that women should be treated with respect and dignity, or wealth isn't the measure of worth, we should have a more equitable society. We can't take for granted any group. We can't generalize and just assume, oh, well, we got black folks in our pockets, or we've got Hispanics locked up. And for that matter, we shouldn't assume that we can't win white men. Because the one thing that the presidency taught me is the country's complicated. The media simplifies it.
Donald Trump's the smart one, and y'all elitists are dumb.
When you actually get on the ground and you talk to people, you go into some small rural town and find out that there's some huge Vietnamese population that you didn't expect. Or, you go into a black neighborhood and you sit in a barbershop
I wish my
and you
Amazon
find out
benefits
that a bunch of
included
folks,
Prime.
church-going folks, got pretty conservative views about a lot of things. And that's all for the good. And that's one more reason why I say my biggest advice for progressives is to get out and talk to people. Because
Like, he's right. But no, don't abandon black people. He's right. But what is one all-encompassing policy position that would, across the board, help people, meet them where they're at, and help people? Because you always have to fucking position, right? Class, motherfucker. Economic policies. Things that Barack Obama and so many other people literally stand against as a hurdle now. It's so wild to take this argument without answering for what those policies are. He's just saying like, oh man, like, meet people where they're at. Talk to them. Get out of your worldview. It's like, okay, fine. That's great. How do we appeal to everyone then? Across the board. Like, this is what's really frustrating to me about Obama's legacy. On the one hand, he himself has hyper-focused under his administration, and the cultural attitudes have shifted throughout, maybe deliberately or not so deliberately by Obama or others, other liberal talking heads under the Obama administration, where we moved away completely since the Clinton era. We moved away completely from like economic policies that are truly profoundly helpful for as large chunks of the population as possible, moving away from that and moving towards individualization and identities, right? My hair is so bad right now. It's still wet and I wore a hat right after. So that's why it's going to look like shit right now. I'm going to try to fix it while we're talking. Okay? Like individual identities and focusing on focusing exclusively on criminal justice in a way to appeal to the black community, focusing on immigration reform in a way to appeal to the Latino community. These are not enough. And it fails to comprehend that there are much larger, there are broader fucking ways of absolutely focusing absolutely capturing a much larger fucking audience, much larger audience by focusing on economic policies. Okay? Especially with Latinos, that's a huge deal with the Hispanic population. Like, obviously, it's impossible to pin brown voters or Latino voters down to a monolith in the same way that at least historically black voters have looked like as far as voter patterns goes. Obviously, black people are not a monolith, but with the way that the black community votes. It's so overwhelmingly for the Democratic Party that, like, you know, it's the one instance where you can make an argument similar to that. That, like, you kind of know with a reasonable certainty that black people are going to vote Democrat, right? But with Latino voters, if you think about it in the same way, you'll lose. Like, every single fucking background has entirely different has entirely different points of view. However, most of the Hispanic population, or at least according to fucking Pew Center and numerous other studies that have been conducted on this matter, are, while on the one hand socially conservative as a consequence of religion, are very fucking fiscally progressive. So if you can't win Latino voters on the virtue of abortion because you're a sinner, you can absolutely win them over on economic policies that they are on board with, that they want. Not even just fiscal policy that's progressive. This is a fucking, usually this is a poisonous argument to make, but they want bigger government. Like, they say that they they want bigger government. Big government is a poisonous way to regard social safety nets. And when Hispanic populations are polled, they say they want more government. They say they want bigger government, implying that they are super on board with social safety nets.
Because folks are always simply.
You can't do anything without the Senate. That shouldn't stop you from fucking advocating for whatever you believe in. It's so dumb. It's so pathetic. It's so fucking stupid. Okay? It's so stupid. Like, stop. Republicans never say, oh man, how will the Senate fucking provide to be, how will the Senate become a burden in front of us when they're messaging? Democrats shouldn't do that either. If you think the Senate is going to be a hurdle, then you should fucking agitate to make sure that you have the majority in the Senate too. Okay? Can you platform the story? Science professor publishes unhinged letter calling COVID-19 fake? No, I don't care. I'm sorry, brother. Like some rando fucking psychotic professor. I'm not going to spend time on it.
Thanks for taking care of us all. Got
in
my
a
GFE struggles a lot.
140
with
Please
staying
don't
him to watch
disrespect
you,
our
and
former
you
president
helped
like
a
this.
lot.
He
Can
did
you
all he
wish her
could.
a happy
Yeah, he
birthday
did
if
all he
possible
could.
to Jessel
He
and
did all he
Hassel?
could to fuck everything up.
Character version. And when you actually take the time to hear their stories and where they're coming from, why they think the way they do, why they feel the way they do, they'll surprise you. That gives you then an opportunity to build bridges, build coalitions, and eventually move the country in a better direction.
This playlist you put out to accompany the book, it's kind of old school. You've got Bruce,
Oh, I hate this shit.
and you've got Aretha Franklin and Miles Davis, not like the baby.
I agree.
Did you consult Sasha Malia on this playlist, or was this all you?
No, this one was the playlist of music that is featured in the book. Paul McCartney singing Michelle to Michelle. And so that's, in there. Or U2's A Beautiful Day is what we played during our campaign after speaking at a rally. My year-end
Oh my God, he put fucking U2 in it.
playlists, those are the fresh cuts. And there I will confess that I do consult with Malia and Sasha throughout the year. I'm constantly listening, to their music, sometimes by request and sometimes just because that's what's blaring in our house. I pick up on some trends. Sasha's more protective of her music. There's certain things on SoundCloud that she has like a private playlist that she won't share all of it with me because she's not sure I'm hip enough to handle it.
Republican operatives have been making the point for months that Democrats need to learn from Bill Clinton how to attract voters they don't usually get. They meant never Trumpers, but there's a bit of truth to the general idea. Yeah. Well, there are voters that have historically voted Democrat all around the country, okay? For a multitude of different reasons, whether it be fucking Dixiecrat voters or whether it be lifelong unionized voters that no longer have a union that's like grounding them to go out and vote for the Democrats. We can win those people back.
Howdy.
You can absolutely win those people back. You can absolutely speak to them and speak to the the needs that they have. These are still people. It doesn't matter if they have bad opinions. It doesn't matter if they're fucking racist. Like, that's not how politics works. Okay? As long as you're not compromising on your fucking values personally, you should try to win them over. Anyway, his music tastes the most generic, palatable garbage, but hey, at least he listens to music. What kind of weirdo doesn't listen to music? Yeah, shut up. I know.
No, man, I'm keeping up for an old guy.
Come back tomorrow for the
Boy Jotaro.
Or, make a fucking music playlist. And that'll appeal to them. Emboldened radicals turn on their own.
A Fox News alert, a huge demonstration outside a bar in Staten Island, New York, and it continues tonight. The owner of that bar was arrested for publicly defying the lockdowns put in place by the governor of that state. The bar owner spoke.
Obama keeps talking about how a successful president should be a uniter, not a divider. If that's what makes a great president, how is he not a complete failure? I mean, okay, well, part of the reason why Obama was a divider is literally because he's black, okay? There's nothing he can do about that. Like, there was tepid neoliberalism, clearly, that fucking impacted people in a negative way, so much so that two-time Obama voters turned around and fucking voted for Donald Trump. Obviously, they didn't vote for Obama twice, despite how racist they were, right? Like, they might have become racist as a consequence of, like, their radicalization since then, but overall, the divisions were met along racial boundaries for so many people, exacerbated by the dipshits over at Fox News. Now, having said that, there is a unification that you can advocate for. I advocate for it all the time. I love fucking shitting on the hogs and I love making fun of them, but ultimately, I still believe that they deserve health care. Like, what do I always say? There is no, excluding Nazis from getting health care. Like, everyone's getting it. There's no excluding Nazis from fucking going to college. Everyone's getting it, okay? This is why we need to have universal policies. Medicare for all means for all. Every single person. Regardless of having bad opinions or good opinions, it doesn't fucking matter. So, if that's your value, like it is my value, then you should be able to literally fucking go to these people and talk to them and be like, look, man, look, you're going to get this shit. It's going to help you. Okay. You're going to be able to get fucking care, medical care that you desperately need. Okay. But trans people are getting it too. Shut the fuck up. Okay. You're going to get the care that you need. But hey, guess what? Misty Peach calling you out. Check her stream title is on Puggo. Ugh, dude, why do people do this? Hey, fuck off, dude.
The
You
needle
fuck
drop
yourself.
wasted
Okay,
his time
here.
interviewing you,
Take a
to
day
be
off.
honest. Arjan listened to more Trump rants than music this year.
That's how it works. And that's the thing that I am always frustrated by. Like, my vision of change.
Love, homie.
My vision of change revolves around bringing people on board to your coalition by advocating for things that helps them. Okay? Like that guy who keeps saying, you're so brainwashed and pathetic. There's plenty of evidence to show election fraud by Democrats. You won't cover Arizona or GA meetings because you're a dumb lib. You've ignored all my messages over the past week showing you proof. Meanwhile, you were baselessly accusing me of being a pedophile with evidence. Like this pedophile right here who hasn't been able to disprove that he is a pedophile. Like that pedophile in the chat, like that pedophile should get health care. Like, so if you are what is the fucking title? Oh, fuck you. She's playing DS3. It just says DS3 DLC. That's it. They changed it. It was DS3 DLC. Your move, Ajan Puggo. Oh, wait, really? I just saw DS. Oh, someone changed it back? Okay. God damn it.
4 months I have escaped the
Can you explain the
pipeline from
shift in
venture
voting
below
patterns,
4
the party
years
switch
ago
in
to
the
Hussein Trump
1900s? I've been
led
trying to
us
understand
solidarity
it.
from the UK.
Okay, so Yeah, that guy deserved to be clapped.
As
So.
bent pogo.
Okay, mods, you guys can unban him. I don't know. So, anyway, the point I was trying to make before I got fucking derailed because
As
of
buff any
idiots
gamers.
that are derailing the stream, which is why they got fucking banned for at least a day. Okay? The point I was trying to make is that, like, if you're a fucking straight white dude or a straight black dude, let's say, not even a white dude, let's say straight black guy, okay? You're 45 years old, you're a straight black guy, middle class, okay? You have your parents and yourself have been able to escape extreme poverty that was forced onto you in 1.5 generations. Okay? I was not about to explain the party switch of the 1900s. No, I'm not going to do that right now. Stop derailing me. There are certain privileged blind spots that you have. Politics is about transactions. It's about power and an allocation of resources and power, right? So, and it's transactional in nature. So you, as a straight black guy, have certain expectations from your politicians, right? And if your politicians are constantly and only talking about, like, I don't know, LGBT rights, and you're like, okay, well, this doesn't fully appeal to me. Maybe you don't even have a single LGBT member. Like, expecting people to be empathetic of every single other person's plight is silly. I'm sorry. We try to do that, but you have to build loyalty and you have to build on that empathy. Just simply expecting it to happen among the American population is not working. It's not a working solution. It has not worked, and it's demonstrably not going to work. Which is precisely why intersectionality has to feature class. There has to be an umbrella cause that grabs as many people as possible. And that, in my opinion, is economic policies that pertain to every single person. Expecting people to have compassion for their fellow man and women without telling them why they should, or by just scolding them, is precisely how the Democrats are in the position that they're in right now. You have to give them something. And then you have to tell them, if you want this, well, shut the fuck up about other people getting it as well. Because they are going to get it as well. This is not a conversation. It's not up for debate. Okay? And people constantly get mad when I say stuff like this. People get mad when I say stuff like this because they say, oh, it's class reductionist. No. You don't understand what that is. You don't get where that's coming from. Like, assuming that people are going to be born with an understanding of compassion for their fucking fellow man is silly. It doesn't work that way. For some people, it does work that way, okay? Whether they are personally meet marginalized people from different backgrounds and develop a liking and understanding to their plight, okay? Or whether it's like media depictions, maybe cultural depictions that finally get them to come to terms with it. Sure, there are different reasons how you can develop empathy and develop compassion for and eradicate your privileged blind spots slowly but surely, but it takes a while. But to expect every single person to do that, that's not going to work. You have to bring them on board somehow. You have to bring them on board somehow. And my theory of change revolves around what? Must read or strike. Days to plays moves regularly for offline chat. What the fuck? Dude, what are you... Dude, stop. You guys are being so fucking stupid. Like, do you want me to really derail the stream further by reading some dumbass fucking Google Doc that you wrote? Really? Really? You want me to do that? You're not going to get the reaction that you want out of it currently. I'm just letting you know. If there's nearly 30,000 people in here. They're not going to like it. They keep making fun of me for pausing to make an important point that is not fully related to this video. You think they're going to like it if I go completely away from this and move on to something that's not even related to politics and related to the offline chat, which I love, but come on.
Just a few minutes ago, nearly 2,000 people showed up outside his bar to protest his arrest. And as we said, many are still gathered there at this hour. We'll continue to keep an eye on this. Haven't seen anything like it before. Well, it's no secret, and of course we're told every day by the New York Times, that
BM King, prove to me that you are not a pedophile. You need to prove to me that you are not a pedophile, okay? You can't prove to me that you are not a pedophile. Sorry, you are a pedophile then. In the way that you operate, I'm just using it against you. You just cannot. You cannot prove to me that you're not a pedophile. So you are a pedophile.
dangerous far-right militants have been emboldened since Election Day. Businesses in right-wing strongholds like Washington, D.C. and Portland, Oregon have been boarded up, terrorized at what might come. On Wednesday, our worst fears came to pass. A former president of the United States, and indeed a member of the Democratic Party, came out as a proud member of the alt-right, and he did it on the internet, on a political show without any hesitation at all. Watch this.
I guess you can use a snappy slogan like defund the police, but you know you've lost a big audience the minute you say it, which makes it a lot less likely that you're actually going to get the changes you want done. The key is deciding, do you want to actually get something done, or do you want to feel good among the people you already agree with?
So what really frustrates me about this take is that Tucker Carlson and others like him never do it. They love praising liberals when they do it, or cause division amongst the left, or even liberals and the left. But you've never heard Tucker Carlson do this. Like, he's gone so far as to fucking say that immigrants are disease laden. Like, they have diseases. Like, you think Tucker Carlson fucking gives a single shit about the moderates? No. So why would you ever in a million fucking years turn around and be like, whoa, look, like, Obama's right in this situation? Like, you're nuts. You're fucking nuts. Absolutely nuts. Republicans have never fucking thought about massaging their points of view or their psychopathic worldview in order to appeal to liberals, okay? They have other ways of trying to appeal to liberals. They have a big tent, I say. Okay? It's nuts. This notion that, like, defund the police is not working, or is just a bad argument, is so silly one way or the other. If we have the same points of view, if we have the same opinions on policing in this country that is fundamentally broken and it is in desperate need of repair, and I believe that a lot of liberals claim that they have this point of view, don't really act on it. They don't really want to act on it overall, but I think that they claim that they have this point of view. Then there's no reason to have a back and forth, because you don't fucking convince people with your snappy sloganeering, okay? You convince people with arguments. Republicans know this. You convince people with action. You convince people by applying pressure. You convince people with labor militancy, with strikes, work stoppages. The overemphasis on this slogan one way or the other is so transparently liberal. It's so aesthetics focused that it really is frustrating, especially when defund the police as a movement has been successful in, at the very least, reducing some of the funding in police budgets that have been hyperinflated in places like New York, in places like Los Angeles, and reappropriate those funds that have newly been freed up into social workers and other programs like that in Philly too. So it fucking worked. So people that are saying it doesn't work, or people that are saying defund the police is a bad slogan, are being silly. Why would you focus on this if you are an ally? Why is it that this is the back and forth conversation that you want to have? It's dumb. Wait, I got sub? What the fuck? I love Hassan. Okay, so can you post evidence showing that Biden didn't cheat? That's what I thought. Now read the evidence I posted so you can put it in the next SJW rate. So I can put you in the next SJW rage compilation after you get owned. Brother, you have no evidence that you are not a pedophile, okay? I might have to ban you now that you're a sub. You have no way to disprove that you are not a pedophile. You have no evidence. I've been waiting for it. The burden of proof is on you now to show me that you are not a pedophile, which is impossible, by the way. I'm sorry if this is a dumb question, but isn't the question of Obama voters who went on the Trump answered in the painted world? What? The painted world? What the fuck is that, a DS3 reference?
You can
This is
check
such a
my
privileged
dental
point of view on this
records.
topic. You're
I'm not
expecting
a
the typical
pedophile.
American to not take this at face value. Americans are dumb. That's why Build a Wall is effective. It gets to the point. Defund the police doesn't explain policy at all. Yes, it does. Wait. What the fuck do you mean? Build the Wall is a perfect example of what Build the Wall means. Why is building a wall regarded as a racist policy then? It's just building a wall. It's literally the same. It's just building a wall. Why is it regarded as a racist policy? Where are you building the wall? Where is the wall going? What does the wall represent? Are there perhaps other messages that are associated with that? Is there another ideology associated with that? What are the policy positions that you signal to when you talk about the wall? It's just the wall. You could build a wall. You want to build a wall around your bathroom. You want to have privacy walls when you go poo-poo. Why not around the country? It's crazy. Why fucking silly liberals thinking the wall is racist? Why do you think that? Perhaps it has something to do more, not with the sloganeering or the slogan itself, and more to do with the policies that you associate with building a wall. Building a wall is national security policy because of the red herring that immigrants are criminals and they're coming over the border and they're bringing drugs and they're rapists, right? Building a wall is considered economic policy because of the red herring that immigrants are job stealers, but also welfare suckers at the same time. They're both simultaneously lazy and also stealing our jobs at the same time. It's not true, but that's what it's associated with. Build the wall is associated with tangible policies. Otherwise, it's just literally on its own, devoid of any context, just a fucking wall that you're building. That's why conservatives love playing Mont and Bailey with Build the Wall and say, how do you say it's racist when, you know, it's just about fucking immigration, brother. It's just about building a wall to protect our borders.
Pog.
Defund the police leaves room for the right to define what that means, just like Build the Wall does, my friend. The difference between those two concepts is that Build the Wall comes out, and then the entirety of the Republican machine makes sure that that narrative is not mistaken. Okay? But when activists come out with a concept, a slogan, liberals rush to scold them. Whereas activists are doing the activism because liberals have already failed on their responsibilities to those communities. They wouldn't be out in the fucking streets screaming defund the police if there was no problem with policing in their communities. No policy can be reduced to a singular slogan. It's what you do with that slogan that matters. And that's precisely why, historically, every time there are policies, okay, TTS is done now. Shut the fuck up, Royal Screen. I'm gonna ban people that do this now. Like, I'm gonna start banning people that think that this is like the cute way to resubscribe. Okay? People that say stuff like defund the police leaves room for interpretation, or defund the police means different things for different kinds of people, or that it's too hyper specific and they don't want to defund the police. They want to do other things. People that have these sorts of criticisms of the activist messaging are harming the message itself and harming these same movements that they themselves believe in, apparently. They claim to believe in it. If you understand that this slogan is ineffective, then either one, come up with your own fucking slogan that still is in line with what Defund the Police wants to do, okay? Or two, work to communicate what this slogan actually means. Now, the example I always use is Black Lives Matter. When Black Lives Matter first came out in Ferguson and in the aftermath of Trayvon Martin too in Florida, when Black Lives Matter was forming under the Obama administration, okay, there were liberals who also were uncomfortable by BLM. They will say that they are not anymore, but there's plenty of evidence to how liberals regarded BLM, how they regarded it. They said this slogan is bad. They said, you got to think about the cops. They said that all lives matter. Or you should maybe say Black Lives Matter too, but they don't currently. Okay? And the real reason why people were criticizing BLM was because they were made uncomfortable by the change that BLM represents. Newsflash, nearly every single instance of progressive justice causes, like causes that want to advocate for marginalized communities, are always going to make an overwhelming majority of Americans uncomfortable. So if you believe that the cause is just, then work to communicate the message and the legitimate grievances behind it. Work to communicate what the policy positions are. I love you, but this take lacks just a small but crucial bit of nuance. No, it doesn't. Liberals did not like Colin Kaepernick. Liberals did not like Black Lives Matter originally. They came to terms with it and started advocating for what it is, what BLM actually means years later. They weren't fucking pro-BLM in 2014. They weren't pro-BLM. They started becoming pro-BLM in 2016. Pete Buttigieg, for fuck's sake, said all lives matter. Like literally. In the aftermath of police brutality in South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg was asked the question about Black Lives Matter, and his response was all lives matter. You mean to tell me that fucking liberals were on board with BLM? What kind of revisionist history is this? No, they made that exact same fucking argument back then too. It's because establishment Democrats don't want to fucking rock the boat. That's it. I'm sorry, guys. Rip the fucking Band-Aid off. Same with Obama. So if you find yourself constantly thinking about the optics of a certain slogan rather than the advocacy for what that slogan means, rather than communicating the legitimate grievances behind that slogan, you have to recognize at some point that you are also operating as an additional hurdle. You are a filter that is preventing that slogan and the narrative behind that slogan from reaching mass populations. Liberals do this a lot. Maybe some on purpose or some inadvertently without recognizing what they're doing. But a lot of liberals do this. That's why there is the white moderate that Martin Luther King talked about as well. Okay? Aren't you over focusing on the actions of people that already agree with the defund the police movement? Yeah, I am, because those are people I can convince. People that think that like black people are terrorists who deserve to be over policed, I'm not going to convince them. Okay, but marketing 101, if your slogan can be easily manipulated or misconstrued by the other side, it's not a good slogan. Okay, tell me the difference why Black Lives Matter is no longer misconstrued by the other side as much, and it reached mainstream popularity. Isn't saying BLM is bad just racist? Now it is. And back then it was too. But the difference was a lot more people had a racist approach to BLM. Comparing an activist cause to corporate marketing is so silly that I don't know how to fucking describe it. Like, you guys really make me reconsider the anger that I have towards people that label everyone as like professional managerial class. It feels like I just have so many fucking advertising Andys in here that like literally cannot remove themselves from the neoliberal corporatist worldview that they exist in. Like all those people that responded to my original take about defund the police on neoliberal terms. Like there were people in there that were like, oh, instead of screeching in a moralizing anarchist manner, you actually use terms that intelligent people can understand. Thank God. Leave it up to Hassan to be so snarky about neoliberalism. It's like, dude, how do you not recognize your own flaws here? Like, Twitter is not real life, certainly, but what you're doing is like you're admitting that that works for you and mistaking what works for you with what works for everyone. I think everyone has a different way to message to, okay? You have to message to everyone differently. You have to meet them where they're at, as Obama says. In the words of Obama, you got to go outside and meet people where they're at.
Yeah, you'd like to defund the police, but just don't tell anybody. Just don't say it out loud. That's Barack Obama's advice. People were very offended, though. People in Obama's base, Ayanna Pressley, a member of Congress, was shocked. She responded on Twitter this way, quote, "Lives are at stake daily, so I'm out of patience with the critiques of the language of activists." Ilhan Omar, resident genius in the House of Representatives, wrote this, quote, "Defund the police."
Why is Ilhan Omar dumb? Why would you add that there? Why would you snarkily say resident genius? Unless you think that because of her background, she has a reason for you to, think that she's not smart. Weird.
Police is not a slogan, but a policy demand. They're sitting in Congress like actual members. It's unbelievable. But as usual, no one was more shocked than the cast of The View. They trashed all of their Barack Obama memorabilia, the memoirs, many memoirs, the newspaper clippings, even the Yes We Can coloring books. And then...
LMAO, why would you say this lady isn't smart unless you're racist? Hot take from Hassan? No, I just simply asked a question. Wow. Why did you think that it was... Hold on. Really interesting. I was simply asking questions, Canapro. I said, what is the reason for why Tucker Carlson said that this person wasn't smart? Why is it that you're the one who jumped to the conclusion unless you're racist? Maybe he signaled it to you appropriately, huh? Wow. Wow. So he was whistling something and you were able to pick up on the frequency there. How strange. That's a self-report, dude. I was simply asking questions. Interesting. Interesting of yourself to jump to the... Wow. Isn't that funny how that works? Isn't that funny how that fucking works? That you got the exactly what Tucker Carlson was trying to do. Cool. This reminds me of the Angela Davis interview when they told her that her words were violent and she shut them down by speaking about how truly violent actual policies are. Yeah.
Consumed by fury, they went on the air.
You know, I'm always loath to criticize President Obama because I'm such a fan, but I do think he's wrong here. I mean, when you think about defund the police, that's not a term that was crowdsourced or tested in focus groups, you know?
Wait, are you trolling your Lucy unless you think her background makes her dumb? Yeah. Maybe I don't mean race. Why did you think about race when I said unless her background? Maybe I'm talking about her education. You're still jumping on it. I wasn't even implying that she was being racist. I was simply talking about the education background that she might have. Maybe that's what Tucker Carlson was alluding to. Or maybe there was something else that you immediately fucking understood. That you jumped to. That's not what I meant. Why are you taking me out of context? I'm going to start doing that, actually. That's not what I meant. BLM is actually just a fucking liberal movement. It's like, holy shit, they've been invested in the corporatism for movie deals with Netflix and Warner Brothers. This is the funniest part about this argument, is that, like, BLM is notoriously poisonous for the longest time. And once it's marketable, once it reaches a certain level of popularity, and is, of course, co-opted and commoditized, co-opted by capital owners and commoditized, as everything is, because, you know, in the words of Lenin, or at least a quote that is misattributed to Lenin quite routinely, which is, the capital owners will say you the rope that you hang them on. Because they will literally fucking make money off of anything, including fucking movements that are impacting the status quo. You turn around and you say, like, oh, well, it's fake now. It's not real. Like, shut the fuck up. It just means it's popular, you fucking idiot. Is your entire fucking worldview revolving around just contradicting, like, those who own capital no matter what? Like, do you assume that they're across the board if, like, an activist organization is, like, bad all of a sudden when they reach fucking peak popularity? Everything that's popular, you're just a hipster then. Thank you for the 73 subs, Anthropologist Journeys, by the way. Like, you're literally just a fucking hipster. Like, you're like, oh, well, once something becomes mainstream, that automatically disqualifies it from being a movement that has a just cause. Idiot. Seriously. It's like those fucking dipshits who think like every country that is against America is ultimately doing great things to its citizens because they're based anti-imperialists. And then you find yourself fucking aligning with like psychotic fucking leaders. More often than not, you might land on the right position because America is truly that horrible. Doesn't mean you're fucking right across the board. Isn't there some merit to the idea, though? The moment Black Lives Matter is no longer fucking doing advocacy for black lives, and the moment that Black Lives Matter fucking turns into like the pro-corporate 8 can wait type ordeal that is like actually fucking liberal astroturfing, the moment that that happens is the moment that you're correct. But to assume that like so many fucking organizers that dedicate themselves to uplifting black people or uplifting poor people across the board are now all of a sudden fucking corporatist, or all of a sudden are liars or whatever. I'm not talking about DeRay, motherfuckers. When have I ever fucking talked about DeRay? Does anyone think DeRay is a part of BLM still as an organizer? No, he's not. Shut the fuck up.
No, that's a term that was born, a rallying cry that was born out of this over-policing of black and brown communities. I think, President Obama was a community organizer, and I really think that he, knows better.
That's a really good take, by the way. She's 100% right. That is a brilliant take from The View. Surprisingly good.
Yeah. The rich ladies are mad. Rich ladies are always mad. Especially
Obama's so poor and you're so poor, right, motherfucker? Shut the fuck up. Wonder Bread Andy over here. Swanson Frozen Food Dynasty recipient over here talking about the fucking white working class. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Rich ladies, they're mad. Fuck you, libertarian motherfucker. Just fucking... It's so frustrating. He's like Mr. Larpy over here. Rich ladies are mad. Liberals are so consumed by revisionist history that they think major progressive movements were ever popular. Every civil rights movement was hated but could not be ignored because of activism. Exactly. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because ultimately you just got to do what you got to fucking do. You got to put your head down and you got to keep advocating. And you got to keep fighting, okay?
The staggering pandemic numbers yet again
There's
tonight.
nothing you can do. Liberals are going to lib. Conservatives are going to conserve. They're going to do whatever they could do. You just have to fucking keep pushing through. Rich streamers are mad. In fact, they're always mad. True. I am. I'm mad all the time, motherfucker. Conservatives can't pull the lol rich people card. Their party revolves around giving them tax cuts. I mean, still fucking dumb.